So guys, I hope you've taken in all the information and definitions and the boring part of the chapter. It's normally the theory, although it's very important. As I said at the beginning of this show, we can't build a house if we don't start at the foundation, and our definitions, and so is our foundation. Again, a big shout out to Liberty for making this all possible. We really appreciate it. All right, guys. So now we're moving to the next phase of our buying and selling of currencies. So when you buy and sell currencies at the bank, there are actually two rates available to trade with. We've looked at the work earlier on, and we've looked at one exchange rate, and that was to help you understand when to multiply and when to divide when going from Rand to Forex or from Forex to Rand. Now we need to introduce you into the next step. All right, this is called the buying and the selling rates of banks. All right, I've got an example here. The buying and selling rates. We have a currency here. We're going to work with the pound. All right, you'll see, and the acronyms is very important. You'll find that in the exam papers as well. So the buying rate of a bank, also known as the BBR, is normally the rate that a bank will offer when they buy your currency from you. Now, it's very important to understand banks only buy and sell the strongest currency of the two you are working with. That is called the Forex. All right, so you'll see we'll talk about Forex a lot. If it's Rand and dollars, the dollar is the Forex. If we are exchanging our rands to pounds, the pound is the Forex. So the stronger currency of the two is always the Forex. And that is what the bank will be buying from you when you exchange your money, or that is what the bank will be selling to you if you need that currency to go overseas. All right, so let's quickly look at this example here. A tourist has £100 and wants to buy Rand with that money. So the first thing we need to do is we have to figure out, are we going to multiply or are we going to divide? Now, from what I've explained to you, I want you to write out the words. Now, we said a tourist has £100. Pounds is the Forex. So we are going to write down Forex, and we want to convert that Forex to Rand. All right. So to convert Forex to Rand, I explained to you, you have to look at the last letter of the first word. So we know we're going to multiply. All right. The Forex that we have is 100. It's £100. All right, and we want to convert it to Rand. Now we have to make a decision. Are we going to use the exchange rate of the selling rate of the bank, or are we going to use the buying rate of the bank? So ask yourself the question, and this is the trick. No matter what you have with you, put yourself in the position of the bank, the cashier that's going to do this deal for you. Banks trade in Forex. In other words, they buy and they sell Forex. In this case, the Forex is our pounds. So the bank would want that pounds from you. They want to buy it from you, and they're obviously going to give you rands as payment. All right, so therefore, we're going to use the bank's buying rate. Now you'll see the buying rate's listed there at the top, and the buying rate was 11,51. All right, so now if you do that calculation, it will look like this. At the bank buying rate, over here, £100 converted to rands at the buying rate of the bank of 11,51 will give you 1,151 worth of rands. Now guys, again, the symbol in the front indicating that you have converted from Forex, which was the pound, to Rand is very important. All right, let's have a look at the next one. Let's say this tourist didn't spend any of his money overseas. He will have a reason for that. Maybe it was his extra spending money, but he didn't use any of that. So he converted it in South Africa. He went through South Africa, didn't spend any of those rands. Now he wants to go back to his country and he wants to convert the rands back to the forex. Okay, so we need to convert rand back to pounds. We're going to write it out. We're going to say, all right, we've got our rand, and we want to convert that all the way back to pounds, but in this case we call pound the forex because it's the stronger currency. My tip, you use the last letter of the first word. That's why we write this whole thing out, which means we're going to divide. All right, here we see in the given information that the rands that we want to convert is 1151. We already know that we have to divide, and now all we need to do is figure out what are we going to divide with. All right, now the way to do that is to look at our rates that was given. All right, we want to use the selling rate. Why do you think? The bank is now selling the forex back to the tourist. The forex is the pound. It's the stronger currency between rand and pound. So the bank will sell forex or pounds back to this tourist. The rate that was given here is 11.55. All right, 11.55. And if we do that calculation, you'll see 1,151 rand divided by 11.55 pounds that was sold to the tourist give us 99.65 pounds. Now here's the question. The tourist initially had 100 pounds, okay? Initially had 100 pounds. Suddenly now, after exchanging, the tourist have 99.65 pounds. So what is the missing part here? It is that 0.35. That 0.35 is the profit. All right, guys. So to conclude our chapter, and hopefully by now you understand the difference between the buying rate and the selling rate, when to multiply, when to divide, because if you can answer those two questions when you do calculations, you cannot make a mistake, and it's easy to get full marks for these questions. Just use your calculator correct. All right, so to conclude this chapter, the effect of exchange rate on international tourism. Remember, tourism can be local, but tourism is also international when we compare countries with each other. So what effect does exchange rates have on international tourism? Let's have a look. All right, so when the rand is strong, there will be less tourists visiting South Africa. Okay, it's as I explained to you earlier on. Our rand is strong in comparison with the major currencies, which means it's not worthwhile for people to come to South Africa and pay for holidays here. A weak rand, there we go, as it is at the moment, is good for the coming in of tourists into South Africa. Now guys, this will hopefully happen when this whole virus and lockdown situation is over in South Africa and our borders are open again for traveling. We hope and we kind of bet on the fact that people, once it's safe to travel again, would want to come to South Africa using their foreign currencies to come and experience our products and services over here so that we can have a positive contribution to the GDP. That will help our economy to grow. And as I've mentioned earlier, tourism is the third largest generator of income for South Africa. So we can really benefit from income in tourism. All right, to travel from South Africa to a developing country in Africa, that will be beneficial for us if our currency is weak. All right, to travel from South Africa to a developed country, that is a country like Europe, America, Australia, that with a weak rand will be expensive for us because we're going to get less of those units for a lot of our currency that we have to pay. The last one, the values of currencies changes every single day, and we call that the exchange rate fluctuation. So every time currencies compared to one another changes, it's called an exchange rate fluctuation. A very good definition to remember for your exams. All right, guys, so the key with traveling, the key in tourism, when you want to go overseas, have a look. Is your currency stronger or weaker than the country that you're going to? If you have a weak currency, it's very, very, very important that you book your holiday at the right time, book your accommodation at the right time, book flights long in advance, or when prices fluctuate and the exchange rate becomes beneficial to you. All right, let's conclude all of this by looking at a practical example from an exam paper. All right, so this was adopted from the 2017 National Curriculum Tourism Exam. Question 3 is normally your question about exchange rates in exams. So 4 to 8 to 12 marks, it will be right after your time zone calculations, which I will introduce to you before the end of this show. And then hopefully later this next week when we will continue with the full elaboration on time zones and of course all your questions that you've sent in.